Hello there, you're watching Reality Check Friday Report. I'm Maha Siddiqui. Team India's lackluster and insipid performance in the T20 World Cup semi-finals against England left fans dejected and disappointed. And no, it wasn't the defeat that the fans were upset over. It was the nature of defeat that showed no sign of a fight, losing to an English team by 10 wickets. The humiliating defeat has the BCCI seeing red now, and it seems to be in an overhaul mode. Sources in the BCCI have told NDTV that the Board of Cricket Control for Cricket in India is all set to implement changes in the next 2 years. This to bring about a massive overhaul for the next T20 World Cup. Seniors like Ashwin and Mohammed Shami will not be part of the scheme of things in the shortest format, for much longer rather. Veteran wicket-keeper, batter Dinesh Karthik may also be eased out of the T20 format. Question mark over the future of T20 in the T20 rather for others like Rohit Sharma, opener Rahul and Virat Kohli. Meanwhile, the question that we are asking this evening, is an overhaul the answer to the clean bowled Team India in the T20 World Cup? And joining me on the show, Kirti Azad, former Indian cricketer, Vijay Lokapalli, consulting editor, Sports Star senior sports journalist, Rakesh Rao, Deputy Editor, The Hindu, Ani Sajan, cricket expert, former team mentor, Delhi Bulls, Karthik Iyer, cricket expert. They are with us on the show now. Many thanks to all of you. Kirti Azad, coming first to you. Does the idea of an overhaul look like a knee-jerk reaction as of now?
Well, after you see the dismal performance in the semi-finals, obviously you can't have the same plan for all teams. And we saw that exactly the same team played throughout the tournament. Now with the best of technology available, during our time, we used to have just one manager and 14 players on the side. And we would decide through memory as to which player is weak where. Now when you go into Star Sports, you come to know straight away who's weak where, how many runs, which is his strong point, which is his weakest point, how the bowlers bowl, what swing they do when they come nearer the wicket or further away from the edge of the crease. So, you know, these things you have now, the kind of technology. And I was quite surprised because wrist spinners work really well in Australia. And I was surprised that Chahal didn't play because we know that the English side is suspect to wrist spinners, leg spinner. Chahal was playing for a very long time with the side, but unfortunately he wasn't played at all. And what was surprising is when asked why they are playing Chahal, they said he doesn't fit in the scheme of things. Then why was he taken there? Was he taken there as a tourist? The first 6 overs have always been bad for India. We have lost a wicket. Kohli, who's a free stroke playing player, turned into a sheet anchor because as soon as he went in, the second wicket fell, and Surya Kumar Yadav is again a stroke-making player. He's kind of a very different player than anybody I have seen all my life. So he likes to play his strokes, and so you can't hit from both ends, so Virat turns into a sheet anchor. So, you know, there are so many things you can analyze, you can visualize. You got 15 players now, and you got 15 plus support staff. With coaches, 4 coaches, with video analysts, with so many things. And I was quite surprised the way we bowled. We know that Hales and Butler likes to hit over the top in the first 6 overs. And I don't know, a person of Bhuvaneshwar's experience got scared of that and started bowling short and well outside the offside. Okay.
So let me, Kirti Azad, go across to Rakesh Rao. Then from what Kirti Azad is suggesting, Rakesh Rao, just one loss wouldn't have woken up the BCCI to faults in so many players all at once. So it appears from the information that is coming in of the suggested overhaul that they were aware of some existing problems. Then the question arises, why did they wait so long to take this call?
See, Maha, we always wait for something bad to happen before we even think of doing something straight. Prevention is something that we have always been told that prevention is better than cure. We don't seem to, understand that simple dictum. The fact is that for long we knew that this bowling, this particular attack of ours, this was not in form. We are not saying that you didn't take the best people. You probably took the best available. And some of them, like Kirti Azad very rightly said, that Chahal was taken as a tourist. Why? But then whatever resources, whatever the scheme of things, that beats me completely. Because when you talk about scheme of things, what are those schemes? Are they workable? And if you think if it is workable, then you make them work. I mean, imagine, just look at, let's take a hard look at what we actually did. We say that we faltered in the semi-finals, we were smashed out of shape. Let's just face it, what did we do? We won the first match, which we had no business to win. Pakistan handed it over to us. Thank you very much. Second match, of course, we lost to, a team like South Africa, which didn't come as a surprise. 49 for 5. From there, it was difficult to win, and they bowled beautifully. Of course, it appears close in the end, but the fact remains that we were not in that match. Then we were extremely lucky to win against Bangladesh. So 4 points out of 6. Our first 4 points. It's just plain luck. Now you take those 2 matches which we were expected to win in any case. We were expected to beat Holland. We were expected to beat Zimbabwe. So what's the big deal? And then we come into the semi-finals at the back. In the background you have victories like this. 4 points were true gifts. So we didn't talk about it. We kept talking about the fact that this team is doing well.
So Rakesh Rao, what you're saying,
we have a good number of 50s to show.
What you're saying, sir, is that the signs were there since the beginning, that there was something lacking in the team. Kirti Azad,
without even shifting my position, I've been maintaining it from day one that with this attack, we don't deserve to go beyond the semi-finals.
Kirti Azad, what are we lacking in the team? I have heard Sunil Gavaskar talking about how all the teams that have won the World Cups for India in the past have had all-rounders. This team is missing that. Would you concur?
Yes, I do concur. And the other thing is that there has been no stability in the side. You have had 7 captains in the last 1 year. Now the latest is Hardik Pandya going in as captain to the New Zealand side. You had a Bumrah, you had a KL Rahul, you had a Rohit Sharma, you had a Virat Kohli, you had like that. And I forget how many captains you have. Rishabh Pant was also a captain. So you have to have consistency in a side. You're going into a World Cup and you're changing captains. And that is, if you are a bowler, you would want to know the bowler who's bowling with you consistently over the years. Or if you're an opening batsman, you want to know who's your opening batsman. Say at least for 2 innings, you're changing everybody because of workload. What workload? You are playing 90, there are 10 teams in IPL and you play 1 game, 2 games against each other. So you're playing 19 games and then you're perfectly fine at IPL. But when you come into playing international matches or World Cup tournaments, you say that there is a workload problem. There should be a workload problem. You are playing 4 overs. So these are the problems that I feel are very strange. And they have KL Rahul was not opening really well, and I had spoken before the team went to Australia, is that you must have a Rishabh Pant who has scored so consistently. If you remember, we were all out for 36, that humiliating defeat in the very first test match at Sydney. And this guy comes back and scores 2 back-to-back hundreds and India win the series 2-1.
But Kirti Azad, I'll interrupt you there, sir. I'll interrupt you there, sir, because one question that as just a fan of the match or cricket, of the sport rather, I want to ask, and I'll go across to Karthik Iyer for this. When a team performs badly, the players are blamed alone. When they perform well, everybody wants to take part in the accolades and share the accolades. Is that fair? Should not the others share the responsibility for the disaster as well? Why only the players?
100%. And this goes in conjecture with what Kirti sir also said, that in the last so many months we have seen 7 or 8 Indian captains. My only question would have been that the 15 that were selected to play for the World Cup, and of those 11, how many matches did those 11 players play together before the World Cup? The biggest example is Mohammed Shami. He was injured and he was picked at the last moment in spite of Mohammad Siraj being in form. So Mohammad Siraj clearly being overlooked because of Shami's experience. So it's not just the players, the management also needs to be questioned. It's like too many cooks spoil the broth. India had too many options for every sport possibly, and they kept on experimenting even with 15 days left for the World Cup, which meant that there was never a settled combination heading into the major tournament, and that probably could be the biggest reason why India have bowed out so badly.
Anish Sajan, from what I understand is that the average age of the players for the T20 team was about 27 years, giving us a sense that experience has really been kept in mind, or rather was kept in mind by the selectors. Is this an outdated approach, especially for the shorter format? Doesn't a T20 format need youth, vigor and sometimes, even audacity that only the youth, young people can have?
Well, I've said yesterday and I'll repeat the same lines. You don't pick the people, you pick the brand of cricket you want to play. You pick players on the basis of what they are for that format. So in short, you pick fearless players, whether they are at high age. Like Surya Kumar is not a young guy. He's 30 plus, but he was one of the guys who scored because he was not thinking about getting out. So that answers your question, ma'am, that you don't pick players for what they are. By stature, you pick for what they are. How they are performing. So Rahul, like everybody mentioned, not the guy in form. So we've seen he has temperamental issues. He's got a lot of talent, but more than talent, your temperament is important and how you performs in big games. And I'm afraid few of the guys did not live up to the expectation.
Vijay Lokpalli, I'll come back to the question that I just asked Karthik as well. Doesn't this humiliating loss reflect as badly on the selectors as on the players? And why should they escape scrutiny? Why should their overhaul only be for the players?
See how the selectors also will be in for a change, but try to understand that selectors are there for a period of time. And they are not selected, picked and dropped on the basis of the performance. It has never happened. No selector has been removed in the past just because the team hasn't performed, right? They also go and spend their time on the fields when we are not there. They do a lot of hard work and they can pick from whatever is available. If you don't have the talent, please accept that the other team was better. And I just don't understand this. Every World Cup you will have changes. I have not seen any World Cup in any sport. You look at football. Every 4 years, so many great players retire. The same happens in cricket. It will continue to happen. Next year, you will have a ODI World Cup. At the end of that World Cup, you will find a lot of players retiring, and then the 2024 is still away. And in any case, even if you're talking about some new players going to New Zealand, even if you had won this World Cup, still some players would have been rested. Because you tell me what is the importance of this New Zealand tour at the end of a World Cup? You are going to play 3 T20 matches against New Zealand at the end of the T20 World Cup. What kind of interest and what is the relevance of these matches? Are you going to put any relevance to these bilateral games? So there are too many questions, and the fact remains that if you don't have bowlers who can perform in a critical time in a T20 game, please accept that you don't have. These were the best available, and I agree with Kirti where he says Chahal should have been given an opportunity. He was all the time, you were making him play, you had Harshal Patel, you didn't have time for them or place for them. So there are too many issues involving selection. Selection policies were wrong, not that the players were so poor in performing. So please get this thing right, that we did not have the best 11 on the field. And
that is the question I asked, sir. Then why should only the players be blamed? I mean, they were selected for this job. Kirti Azad, the blame then should be shared by the others as well.
Yes, they should. I mean, once a player says it's too much of workload, he wants rest. And if he is a contracted player, he should be told, well, fair enough, you're getting 7 crores or 10 crores a year contract, that money will be deducted from you, from whatever contract that you're getting. And the other thing is that I have found this very strange. England had come to Adelaide a couple of days in advance, and they practiced as a team on both days. On the first day, they practiced in the morning and then practice at night. The next day, they practiced in the morning. And our practice was just optional. I fail to understand why optional. You going into a semi-final, you should be together. You have light practice, but be together. You have to be together. You have to understand the conditions. You may have played there before, but because it was overcast and, things were changing a lot, it had rained. So had the players be there on the ground, they at least get used to the conditions. They know what they're going to face tomorrow. What are the conditions that are going to be in the evening when they're going to play the next day. But, this optional thing I fail to understand. And secondly, one point that I must talk about is you talked about the younger players coming in. Then I must tell you, Virat Kohli, though he's about 34 years old, would be the fittest player in the all the teams which are there. And mind you, Indian average age was 30 years and 4 months, and England was 30 years and 7 months. So age doesn't make a difference. As long as you're fit, you are in form, you can play for your side.
All right, so Rakesh Rao, Michael Vaughan has said that India are the most underperforming white ball team in history. Do you agree that this underperformance is because India is playing with a selection of team that is outdated in nature?
Not really. See, if he says that India is an underperforming team, I would put it the other way around. It is the most overrated team. You know, it is one team which wins against countries in a one-on-one contest. But what about a competition? That shows that, you know, when we come to the big stage, the numbers aren't there. I mean, imagine, can you show me any other team in the history of World Cups, be it, say, T20? It has lost, I mean, it starts its campaign with a 10-wicket defeat to Pakistan in the 2021 edition. This one, it ends with a 10 defeat, another 10-wicket defeat to England. One country that loses 2 matches by 10 wickets in 2 successive World Cup editions. What have you done in between? You've played a number of matches, you have won series at home and away. That all looks great because you're just adding the numbers. Then you say you are the #1 team in the ICC ranking. For me, that means nothing. The more you play against weaker teams, the chances of you adding those rating points will be much higher. But when you come to the big stage, you get smashed out of shape. What I'm trying to say is, Michael Vaughan says it's an underrated team. I said, no, it's an overrated team, and that is why we are so disappointed.
No, he says underperforming team.
Facts, underperforming team. Yes, that is because we have overrated them.
Okay.
This team was good enough for semi-finals, and they've lived up to it. At best, semi-finals, and they did just that.
Okay. Karthik, if we come to some of the specifics here, I understand that because the team has performed badly, overall, the entire team is being assessed. But some of the people, for instance, Virat Kohli, spoken about so much in the T20 World Cup for batting well, showing us what he was in his years as a beginner once again. Now he is also under the scan. I understand it could also be because of the age factor as well and past performances too. But this kind of hunger and passion when he's showing at the moment, is it right to then pull down a player's morale by immediately holding that player responsible for what the entire team has achieved or not achieved?
No, never. A team never wins or loses just because of one player. It's always a team effort. And we need to accept that India did not bat well in the semi-final, nor did they bowl well. Now, it cannot be that questions would be asked that why didn't India pull the trigger early when they were batting? They batted out for 15 overs without inverted commas intent, and then showed their inverted commas intent in the last 5 overs, and with the ball, they simply did not turn up. So clearly, no, there's no point in blaming just one person, either a Virat Kohli or a Suryakumar Yadav or even a Rohit Sharma for that matter. It's very unfair. It's a team performance. And even then, even if you look at this overhaul, if the proper message is passed across, then it's fine. If you are saying that we are planning for the 2024 World Cup and half of these players may not fit into that role, yes, then this team does need an overhaul. But just because we lost in the semi-final of a World Cup, if we need an overhaul, then the right message is not being passed across.
All right. Anis, does this also put a question mark on the captaincy and that the captain is not able to lead from the front?
Well, it was evident in this tournament. Unfortunately, Rohit couldn't lead from the front. He struggled for his timing. The bouncy wickets of Australia did make it difficult for him to pull the ball. It was hitting his upper part of the bat. So it was very evident, and it came into picture when he was also marshalling his troops. We could see the Rohit Sharma, who was cool and calm during the IPL, was not in his zone, and the frustration was clearly visible. And I'm afraid I don't think Rohit Sharma playing any other T20 World Cups for sure. Maybe he might captain Mumbai Indians. He becomes fit, as everybody said, during the IPL. But his fitness also, if you see, was not up to the mark. You can see that he's put on weight, and I'm afraid he's not the right man to lead, at least in the shorter format of the game.
Vijay Lokpalli, Wasim Akram, former Pakistan captain, has said that everyone thought that IPL will be a big difference between India and the other teams. Does it appear that that was a thought that was completely misplaced?
Completely misplaced. I mean, I don't know why he said that, and he should have known. I mean, he has been associated with the team in the IPL, and please try to understand that IPL attracts the best players in the world. It's another matter. You can always say that there are just 4 foreigners in the team, in the opposite team when you're playing them. But IPL has also generated a lot of talent. I mean, some of the players have come out of nowhere, literally. True, selectors go and watch them in the domestic cricket, but it is only when they come on this huge platform, they learn a few things, like playing in front of a huge crowd, interacting with these foreign players in the dressing room, which you will not get in a Ranji Trophy game, which is watched by nobody except the selectors and maybe some media men. But I will not accept the fact that IPL is not a good grooming ground. It is probably the best cricket league in the world. It pays you well. You get to interact well with the best cricketers in the world. What matters is the kind of talent you attract from overseas, the kind of legends who come and play. Look at every legend in the last 15 years or so would have come and has been associated with the IPL. So it is a very, very high profile tournament. It has helped you in identifying players and grooming them. If they haven't performed in this World Cup, I will not run IPL down, and I will also not agree that this is the worst team. This was a good team. It did not perform. Let us accept and look at the next World Cup right now. I mean, from this time, 2 years down the line, you should have the best prepared team for the next World Cup. Otherwise, you will end up having same kind of discussions.
Kirti Azad, you know, many might find this kind of scrutiny after a loss as very demoralizing, as unfair as well. But considering the fact that in India, cricket is almost like a religion, that there is so much that is invested into this game vis-a-vis other games in the country, should not our expectation of the players and of the selectors, of the management be much higher for cricket than for any other sport then?
Yes, I do agree with you. I must tell you, I may have done some constructive criticism, but we've been in the same situation, similar situation, playing nationally domestic cricket or international cricket. But then, having said that, I told you the kind of technology and so many things that are available. Obviously, you have to use your mind, how to use that technology that you have at hand. But I feel I have a mixed reaction to, was it the best team? Well, it could have been better. I mean, just now, Mohammed Siraj's name was taken. He was ready. Shami, he wasn't playing for a very long time. You have somebody like an Iyer waiting in the ranks. You took Harshal Patel and you took Yuzvendra Chahal. You never used them. You played Deepak Hooda just one game and that was about it. So I feel that, and you have had 7 captains in the past 1 year. So how do you make a proper combination? You have to have a combination 6 months before you go to the World Cup. You have a team, say you have a pool of 20, 22 players, you're playing with 14 or 15. If there are any injuries, then you pick up somebody from the outside. You just don't recall somebody like a Mohammed Shami, although he did really well in that practice game and he took 4 wickets in the only over that he bowled. But then, that consistency has to be there. And having not played international cricket or any cricket for a long time, obviously it makes you not that much more difficult for you to really adjust to the game.
All right. So several suggestions there, consistency of the team being able to play with each other, also a good mix of people, perhaps more all-rounders. All those suggestions up there for the BCCI also to take a look as it looks at overhauling Team India with the hope that the game will continue giving us just as much joy as it always does. With that, I'll thank all my panelists for joining us here on this debate this evening.